Dun, dun,
20
dun,
minutes.
dun, dun, dun. Okay. Hi! How's everyone doing today? Okay, Shannon, people have been telling me this a lot. I think they're trying to tell me something.
Ruh-roh, Raggy, what are they saying?
And I'm not really sure how to take it. People have been telling me to stay in my lane.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be ooh or
It could be
ooh.
ooh.
It's probably a little of both. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I think staying in your lane, I mean, if you want to be like kind of a bee, and tell someone to stay in their lane,
in your lane.
yeah, it means like stay out of my business. I don't think that's the connotation they're going for. But, so what I'm finding is, especially in this new role of owning my own business, working with people, hiring people, is that I feel super responsible for everyone, everything they feel.
You're now reading from Codependent No More, Chapter 1. I feel responsible for people's thoughts, behaviors, actions, feelings, la la la.
Right. And so, it's really been eye-opening to have people that I feel responsible for.
Right. And
because before I was just a worker bee and I didn't have to worry about anyone else other than myself. My bosses or my managers worried about them. But now it feels very, it's very difficult.
yeah, overwhelming is the word that jumps
It feels
out to me. Very
overwhelming.
much like I have to make sure that everyone's okay. Which in these trying times, I think that's why my job's gotten much more difficult in the past few years, because the okay standard has really shifted. Where people used to be pretty okay, they're not so okay right now.
Yeah.
And so that must be really overwhelming for you.
Yeah, and I think, the other thing that I think that has come up for me in, having my own business and creating my own thing is that you stay in your lane also means that, especially in business and following your passion, that you really stay in the lane
Focused.
that you are meant for. You stay focused on what your core, your core business is, what you're really good at, what you really love to do. And that can also mean staying in your lane. And I have a very hard time with, there's a shiny thing on the road over here. Let me go over to that lane for a little bit.
You're
Okay.
all over the road, Suzanne.
Now let me go back to my lane.
Your friends are doing interventions.
Oh, you want me to do that? Okay, well I guess I could kind of do that, but it's really completely out of my lane.
Yes, yes.
And I think that is the hardest part for me about knowing what my lane is and how to stay there.
Well, and so that's when you go back to the core of codependency, and it's like your lane. I'm going to use a little fun pun. Your only lane is lane. Your lane is your children and yourself, right? And I'm not forgetting Trace, but your lane is your children. Your lane is your family. Your lane is your career. Your lane is you. But with codependency, when someone shares something, they have a lot of meetings that are available for people like an AA, NA, Gamblers Anonymous, and one of my favorite meetings is ACA, for Adult Children of Alcoholics. And it's basically people that grew up where they're going to develop codependency and caretaking. And so when they read the opening, one of the things they ask is, when you see that your neighbor is crying and they're sharing, resist the urge to take care of them, give them tissue.
Let me fix that for you.
And go over and cheer them up and give them answers, because as a codependent, that's what we tend to do. We want to be all over the lanes and be helping people. So it makes a lot of sense that that's coming up for you now that you have that opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think the other thing is just, what is the difference between offering help to someone that you really do want to help and realizing that that's not your job to, that's what I get. That's where I get, it gets a little muddy, because yes, could I make a couple of calls or do something that I really don't have time to do to help that person? But do you know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean, and I'm smiling because my favorite list of 3 things that I used to, when I worked in the treatment centers with family members of addicts and alcoholics, because they're the most codependent people on the planet, is the rule of three, number one, did they ask you? Right? So you came in today, you were struggling, I was struggling, we had a heart to heart, I shared some things, you shared some things, but neither one of us said, can you help me? Can you hold me? Can you call me? Can you do this for me? Can you next week? Neither one of us, we just laid our stuff on each other's hearts and we were compassionate and hugged, but neither one of us asked for anything. So did they ask you is important. If they didn't, probably stay in your lane.
Yeah.
The second one is, can they do it themselves? When we are codependent, we're always wanting to overdo for. I want an award in this as a parent, right? Like, let me just do for you, and not let you do it yourself, and then you can feel completely incompetent that you can't do it yourself is the end result. So can they do it themselves? Even though someone's struggling, what I shared with you today, can I figure it out on my own? I can, but it feels really nice to have support and talk, and you the same. You don't need me to drive to your house after here and fix everything for you.
Right.
So did they ask? Can they do it themselves? And then my all-time favorite third, are you going to be resentful if you do it? So you have someone struggling financially and you feel so bad for them and you have so much compassion and you know how hard that is and you've been there and da-da-da. So you give them money, but then you're pissed in 3 weeks because like you just found out that they just got a new car or whatever and you're going to be angry about it. So did they ask? Can they do it themselves? And are you going to have a resentment if you do it? And if any one of those is yes, then step back, stay in your lane.
You know, it's really interesting because I was talking to a local entrepreneur about sort of this kind of topic about, how do you deal with it? Like I feel, I really feel responsible for the happiness of the people that work with me. And I really want them to be happy. Sure. And he said that is the number one mistake that a lot of new business people make is because there's a level and it starts down here with competency, then it goes to self-esteem, and then it goes to happiness. And he said what a lot of entrepreneurs and people just starting out in business do, they focus on their employees' happiness. But that only goes downhill, then that lowers their self-esteem because you're trying to make them happy, you're trying to make them happy, you're trying to make them happy, and you're not building up their self-esteem. In fact, it's going the opposite way. When you focus on their competence and making them competent in their job and praising them for their competence, that builds their self-esteem, which in turn creates happiness in the workplace, which I thought was really eye-opening because like I always thought, you got to make your employees happy. You got to make people that work for you happy. But in reality, that's not your job. Your job is to, make them competent, make them feel competent in what they're doing. Right.
I think that works not only in business, but I'm smiling because of my own children, right? Yeah. If I build them up and let them feel good about themselves and let them do it themselves, they feel competent, they feel capable, their self-esteem raises, they're going to be happy. Yeah. Right. So I think parents fall into this trap a lot. Like here, just take take it, and they're happy for a minute. But if they had to work for it and earn it and save for it and they bought it themselves, wow, now they're really self-esteem, competent, and happy.
Right.
Yeah.
So brilliant. Staying in your lane can also be as a parent.
Ooh, yeah. Or as a friend, like even today, us staying in our lane, sharing with each other and not trying to fix each other.
Right.
Because that's how it can feel, which breeds incompetency. Oh, you think I'm a basket case. You don't think I can do it myself.
Right.
So, this is a deep topic.
Yeah. What else is coming up for you with stay in your lane? Anything?
I think, when you look at those rules of three, I think the other thing that's important is asking people, like my daughter and I went through this last night where she was sharing something exciting for her. And really what she wanted and needed was for me to be excited about her excitement. Yeah. Right? And I did that for 7 minutes. And then, right? I thought that was a long time.
It was 7.23.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we moved on.
Right.
And then I got into her lane, which we do a lot, her and I. Like, she will say a lot of times, tell me what you think. And so, but she didn't this time. And I told her what I thought, and I told her my opinions, and and we got it all. I was all over the road. I was like drunk driving.
Drunk driving in her lane.
I was all up in her lane. And then she said something fun like, oh, thanks, now I feel horrible, which is always fun. These are fun conversations. And so I called her back and I said, basically what you're saying, I said, can you let me know what you need from me
Yeah.
when these conversations are starting? Because I do want to stay in my lane.
Yeah.
And sometimes you want me in your lane and you want feedback, and sometimes you do not. And sometimes you just want me to be excited. So I think that that's a good one, is like when we're looking at the rules of threes, did they ask me, can they do it themselves? Will I be resentful? You can also add a fourth one of asking them, what do you need from me?
Yeah.
So a colleague comes to you and they're complaining about money, or a colleague comes to you and they're struggling with their job or whatever, or something that works for you, and you ask them in the beginning, what do you need from me? What are you looking for from me? And they might just say, oh, I just want to share.
Yeah.
I just want to vent. You're one of the safest people in my world, and I just need to talk about this.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Because the pressure you put on yourself as a good codependent is that you're going to have to fix it. You're going to have to buy it. You're going to have to. So if you can say, what do you need from me?
And I feel like that is really good for a lot of men to hear, because I feel like men, especially with women, like they just want to fix it.
Yeah.
Instead, and sometimes we just need them to listen,
Yep.
And not try to fix or give advice
Yep.
or tell us what to do.
Yeah.
It's like, I just need you to listen.
Yeah, what do you need from me is a good one across the board, with your kids, with your spouse, with your coworkers. I really want to show up for you. What is it you're needing or wanting from me, as you're sharing this?
Yeah, that's funny that you were talking about your daughter, because my daughter Lane often, I'll put on an outfit and she'll just, unsolicited, I don't like that outfit. And I'm like,
I didn't
really?
ask you.
Because I did not ask you.
Yeah. Because I was really feeling myself.
Lane, let me just tell Lane, stay in your lane. I said, Lane, let me just tell you, when mommy asks you, then you can give me your opinion.
Right.
But don't unsolicited tell me whether or not you like my outfit if I'm not asking.
Because you're really like, it's the same thing with my daughter last night. When you're really feeling good about yourself and you know what kind of party you're going to and you know what's required and you're kind of in your feels, and then your daughter's like, ew, hate it. And now you're like,
oh,
what
you're
do I do
wearing
now?
that.
Yeah. She doesn't know the objective. You don't know, girl.
That's right.
Yeah. We don't know what we're trying to obtain or whatever.
All right. I like that advice. Those are good. I like that you added a fourth.
Yeah. always got to add another tool.
She is the therapist, so we should listen to her. All right. And stay in your lane.
Yes. You too, Lane.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.